Are you scared to go on stage for a performance? Do you get nervous? Do you get those butterflies in your stomach and it causes you to feel sick and you think to yourself, I don't even want to do this? Well, today in this video, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to help those people that get really nervous before a performance. I got some great tips. Let's get to it. Hi, and welcome to Tim Connolly Drums. Today I'm going to talk about nerves and performance anxiety and all the things that lead up to it and all the things that cause it and how you can defeat being nervous and anxiety and everything that's associated with it. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up in this particular video is several reasons. 19 of my 30 students will be doing a recital coming up June 18th. And they're all going to be nervous. They're all going to be anxious. And I am coaching them along so that they don't get so anxious and nervous that they just say, I can't do this. Because the worst thing is to give in to that anxiety and those nerves. That's the worst thing any performer or any athlete for that matter, anyone that has to perform on a when everyone's watching you, you feel like, all the eyes are on me. Well, I got some tips that I've been giving them, and now I'm going to give them to you guys out there as well. The other reason I'm bringing this up is this Tuesday, my own daughter is competing. She's playing guitar, and she's playing along with a Nirvana song, and she's going to be playing in front of her entire school, which is over 1,000 kids, and she's very nervous about this. It's her first time performing, and it's big time in the sense that the number of people that she's performing might not be 1,000, could be around 800. It's a big school. I don't know. But she's nervous. She's been talking to me a lot about, how to deal with the nerves, and I've been coaching her. Plus, she got to see me perform at my drum clinic, and she got to see how I deal with any of that. So anyways, first things first, it's perfectly normal to be nervous. If you're not nervous, there's something wrong with you. You could be a robot. Everybody gets nervous anytime. Now, I'll tell you a funny story about me. I used to have problems with stage fright. And it didn't matter if I was playing in front of 10 people or 10,000 people, I would get nervous. In some cases, in all honesty, you guys are going to laugh, but I would actually get more nervous playing in a bar gig in front of 35 to 50 people than I would being at a festival gig in front of 10,000 people. And I think the reason is because anytime you're in a smaller, more intimate setting, the eyes are more intensely on you. Whereas you're in a festival, you're on a huge stage, you're far away from the crowd. Yes, there's lots and lots of people, sea of people when you're on stage. It's actually an amazing feeling to look out to see that sea of people. But they're looking at you, but it's not the same intimacy. The club, playing in smaller venues, there's more of an intimacy. People are much closer to you, and they can see more of what you're doing. That's my guess. I don't know that for sure. That's just how I sometimes have felt about small gigs and why sometimes I get nervous, whereas larger gigs, I get nervous, but I get more nervous at smaller gigs. Don't really know why. But I've learned to deal with the nerves over the years. And a lot of it has to do with, quite frankly, confidence. I know how to recover from virtually any mistake. Over 40 plus years of gigging and live performance and doing it thousands and thousands of times, I've learned that shit happens. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to break. Things are going to happen in the crowd. Things are going to happen on the stage. Equipment's going to die. Anything can happen. And I've pretty much learned to be able to deal with any scenario. The big one that drummers worry about is breaking or dropping a stick. Well, when I was a teen, I was very uptight about breaking and dropping sticks, especially dropping sticks. And what I would do is I would practice dropping a stick, and I would have a bag of sticks on the floor tom. And later, when they were sort of invented and came out, I have this little tube on the hi-hat that also has a pair of sticks or two in there, so I can cover each hand. so I don't have to necessarily reach across. I can just reach right in if I drop a stick. And I would practice dropping sticks and being able to recover. And then, of course, in real life, it happened to me many, many times where you drop a stick or you break a stick, more commonly in terms of performance, breaking a stick, and you got to throw it away and grab another one. Well, I got really good at that. And now it's not a fear in any way, shape, or form. Why do we have this fear? And this is the confidence part that I'm talking about. The reason we have this fear is because we have a fear of making a mistake, yes, but I think the fear is more people are going to judge me. People are watching me and they're judging me. And that judgment can lead to a lot of nerves. Now, anytime you're a performer, yes, you're being judged. Whether you perform amazingly or you perform terribly, you're being judged at all levels. The truth is, who cares? Don't worry about people judging you. Also, at the upcoming recital, it's a friendly crowd. And I'm telling this to all my students. It's a loving crowd. It's parents, it's grandparents, it's siblings, it's cousins, it's aunts, it's uncles, and of course, it's your other drum students and their families that are also in the same boat as you. A lot of my recital students are performing for the first time. Some of them are veterans. I have 2 or 3 that are seasoned performers. They play in school bands, they play in bands with their friends, they play at church, and they play at the music school that I work at. They play in their bands as well. So these guys are seasoned guys. They still get nervous. I still have to talk to them about performing and whatnot. But I think that the judgment thing can really overwhelm people, that they don't want to be judged. But truth be told, you're on stage, you're going to get judged. Who cares though? Somebody doesn't like your performance? Oh well. I mean, imagine Danny Carey, Mike Portnoy, Neil Peart. Somebody goes to their show and they don't like their performance. Do you think those guys are fretting over it? Not at all. And even for myself, when I get on stage and I know that I'm always giving my 100%. So I don't care if somebody is judging me negatively. It really doesn't bother me. You know, like I've had people come up to me and say, oh, I can do what you do. How come I'm not in a band? Well, it could be because you're a dickhead. That could be a big reason. Getting into a band is not just about playing. It's more about getting along with people and being you're reliable and showing up and all that. But anyways, that's a separate video. Let's deal with nerves today. So performance anxiety, also, there's a fear of failing. There's a fear of not accomplishing your goal. Well, again, it sort of stems back to confidence a little bit. If you rehearsed and you practiced and you spent your time in the woodshed going over the song, going over your phrasing, going over your fills, your groove, playing along with the song, or practicing with your band if you're in a band situation, you should be fine. And that is not really something that you need to be concerned about failing. The other thing is, and I can't teach this, and I mentioned it, when things go wrong, you just have to, over time of doing it over and over again, learn how to develop ways to recover from whatever went wrong. Sometimes you just have no control. I mean, I have been in situations playing live with tracks where the tracks failed, or the singer came in the wrong time and now we're off the track and I had to turn the track off and continue playing the song, but trackless. I mean, these things happen and you can't let it get to you. You've just got to learn to deal with it. Now, the other thing that makes people nervous is certain people watching them. Their drum teacher comes in the room. One of their heroes watches them play. That happened to me on several occasions. You have critical people, like you're a high school or you're a university, and there's always going to be this guy, the guy that is critical of your playing. Who cares about him? Don't worry about him. Also, if there's a celebrity drummer in the audience watching you perform, trust me, I've met hundreds and hundreds of these type of drummers, and anyone that plays at a high level and is a professional, not even a celebrity, but just a professional level drummer, they all wish the best for you. Nobody in their right mind that's at a professional level of drumming wishes you to fail, do poorly, make mistakes, nothing. I can guarantee that. I've had situations where, drummers from other bands that were, famous bands, whatever, or maybe not even famous, but just drummers that I knew were watching me, but I never let that bother me. I still did my show. To me, and it should be the same for you, it doesn't matter who's in the audience. Neil Peart could be in the audience. It doesn't matter. You still have to do your best, and don't let the nerves overtake you just because someone is watching you that's a celebrity drummer or someone that you know. I can remember in music school, my drum teacher came to all my shows. Sometimes the most difficult person to play in front of is your drum teacher. Even though you do it constantly, you know that he knows everything you're doing. And if you make a mistake, you know he knows. I always tell my students, you can make lots of mistakes on stage. 99.9% of your audience is not drummers. And then they will say, oh, okay, so if I make a mistake, nobody's going to notice. And then I'll say, that's correct. Nobody's going to notice except for me. So don't make any mistakes. Now, mistakes do happen. I'm just joking around with them. As long as they can recover, I always say to my students, awesome recovery. Like I heard the mistake, I saw the mistake, but you recovered. I don't say that in front of the crowd, the audience, nothing like that. It's just one-on-one when I see them and we go over their performance. And I'll say, that bridge section, you made a mistake, you played the wrong fill, you went in too early, you came out of the fill too fast and you sped the tune up, whatever. It's meant to be educational when I criticize my students for their performance. It's not meant to be harsh or beat them down. I don't believe in any of that. I always try to uplift all my students. And I'll tell you, I went to my wife's retirement dinner. She's retiring. She's been a teacher for almost 29 years. She's retiring. And I went to her retirement dinner. There was a band there. And there was a man there playing, older than me. He was probably 70 years old, I would say. But he wasn't technically, it wasn't like watching, Vinnie Colaiuta or Dave Weckl. He's just an average drummer. But his dynamics were amazing. I could not believe how quiet he was playing. The whole band, actually. I've never heard a somewhat amateurish, maybe semi-pro band so quiet, and all of them really tuned into the dynamics. And the drummer his dynamics were amazing. I can remember even thinking to myself, I don't even think I could play as quiet as he's playing, and I'm a pro. He was really quiet, but I could still hear him. Now, maybe the people at the very far, the back, maybe they didn't really hear him, but it wasn't, the crowd was more a crowd of, they wanted to talk. And they didn't want to have loud music. They wanted to eat dinner, but be able to chat, not loud music. And this band, man, they were the band to pick for this type of thing because I couldn't believe how quietly they could play. Now, the drummer was dynamic when he needed to be. There was a few times they were playing, Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, Don't Stop, It'll Soon Be Here. I'm not a singer. But they were playing that song. I think that's Fleetwood Mac. I'm not 100%. I played it many times, but I can't remember the band. Anyways, there's a few fills in that, and his dynamics in the fills were awesome. So I went up to him and said to him, man, your dynamics are fantastic. And told him who I was. I'm a professional drummer. And I just said, I just want to tell you how great you played. And I really enjoyed listening to you and the band. And you did a great job. He was so appreciative. It was unbelievable. He said, no one's ever said that to me before. And I'm like, well, of course nobody's going to say because they're not paying attention. I was paying attention. So I was paying attention. And people like me are going to pay attention, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you got to get nervous. This guy was really good. I could tell that he's a seasoned player. No doubt about that. Not professional, but a seasoned player nonetheless. So that leads me to my next thing, time. Over time, you're going to get better and better and better at dealing with the nerves. Now, sometimes when I was younger, I would have to take like Pepto or something because my stomach would get really upset and I'd be running in the bathroom constantly. Not throwing up, or I never got nervous to the point where I was throwing up, but just, having to go to the bathroom a lot and really nervous. The other thing that would happen to me is my feet and my hands would sweat. Well, you don't want that happening because you got pedals to move and you got sticks to hold. But that's a normal thing for me. Now that over time that went away. I stopped being all nervous and sweaty before a show. And sometimes it's just what's in your head. So one of the methods that I use to convince myself that everything is going to be okay is a technique that Dom Famularo taught me, which is literally just talking to yourself and convincing yourself everything is okay. Just say, you know what? Talking to myself, Tim, relax, man. You've done this so many times. You're a seasoned player. You can do this. Don't worry about the crowd. Don't worry about mistakes that are going to happen. Just get up there, do your best, and play. Now, I don't have to do that anymore. This is something I learned years ago. Generally speaking, now I'm at a point where, over the last 15 years, let's even say, I'm at the point where I have the confidence. I know that I can do all these things. I don't really have to talk to myself and convince myself of these things. But for those of you that do need to talk to yourself and convince yourself, this is a self-help method that worked for me. And like I said, over time, eventually, with experience and confidence, and you know that the band sounds good, everybody knows their parts and everything, you can relax. And once you relax, then you're going to play much better. When I studied with Steve Smith from Journey, Steve told me, whenever you practice as loose and relaxed as you possibly can. Because when you go on stage, you're going to tighten up, you're going to get nervous, you're going to sweat, all the things that don't happen to you when you're practicing because you're in a relaxed environment. Usually you're just by yourself, so what's there to be nervous about? Who cares if you make a mistake? But once you get on stage, you care about making mistakes. So Steve would say, practice as loose as humanly possible. So when you get on stage, yeah, you're going to tighten up a little bit, but because you practiced everything so loose, your technique is so good, you learned how to relax yourself and you learned how to breathe your way through the gig. Yeah, you're going to tighten up, but not much. You're still going to be loose. Maybe not as loose as when you're practicing. You're still going to be loose. Which leads me to the next thing, breathing. I went to an Omar Hakim drum clinic and masterclass. Omar could not stop talking about breathing. He talked more about breathing than he did drumming. And what he was talking about is, and I agree, at the time I was thinking, oh man, is he ever going to play? Because it was just talk. But I realized over time and maturing as a musician, everything he was saying was 100% correct. And I wish I could go back to that clinic or go to another clinic master class with Omar and re-listen to all that, because now I would really be paying attention. What he was talking about is, if you breathe and get yourself into a rhythmic breathing and relax your body and relax your soul, your brain, your hands, your limbs, everything is relaxed because of your breathing, and you can control the breathing, you're not going to fluctuate as much in tempo because you're not going to get as excited, and you're not going to speed up. You're not going to slow down either. So you want to be able to control your breathing for tempo. You want to control your breathing for sweating. You want to control your breathing for relaxing. And you want to control your breathing so that you don't get excited into the fills and then slowing down back into the groove, that sort of thing. Breathing is really, really important. I can't emphasize the breathing element enough. When I was in music school, I remember Memo Acevedo, fantastic Latino drummer, talking to me a lot about breathing and reading. And he taught me how to breathe through reading and how to feel and breathe the rests. Now, that's a whole other video to learn how to do that. That's a very deep skill. I don't even know if I could just teach that in a video. It's something that I would have to work on with somebody one-on-one, probably in person, because that's what Memo did with me. And I don't even have to think about that now. The breathing just happens naturally. But I encourage all of you drummers out there to start thinking about your breathing during performance and practice it. You know, you're playing. You don't have to be like, you know, Shrek or something, but just learn how to, you know, control your blood pressure and everything by relaxing your breathing. Whenever somebody's in a very stressed out state, it's their breathing that goes insane. And what do ambulance people and doctors always get people to do? Nurses, they get you to relax by calm down, breathe. Breathe. You're getting oxygen to the brain and you can think clearer. Breathe. You know, I'm not suggesting you get on stage with an oxygen mask, even though you're going to laugh, but I've actually been at shows with rock stars where drummers were on breaks taking oxygen, but that's got more to do with booze and drugs than it does with their nerves. But anyways, breathing, so important. So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to nerves is just the fact that you are confident in the fact that your gear is set up. So eliminate problems that you could face. Make sure you're playing with tracks. Make sure that all the tracks are working and all the cables are in the right spot and everything is ready to go. Make sure your drums are tuned up and they sound good and all your equipment is good. Your hi-hat's not loose. You know, make sure that all your cymbals are tightened properly. So make sure that everything that could possibly go wrong with your gear and all of your equipment is taken care of, because bass drum heads, I've had that happen to me twice in a performance where a bass drum head broke. Now, it's pretty hard to tell if your bass drum head is going to break. That's an extreme example. But you can tell if your cymbals are going to fall off the stand because you haven't tightened them properly. You can tell your hi-hat's going to come completely loose because you've not double-checked it to make sure that the cymbals are tight. Make sure that the rod on your hi-hat stand is tight. Make sure that your bass drum pedal is tight and it doesn't slip off of your drum where it sits in on the bass drum hoop. You don't want that pulling out. So these are all things you've got to double check. Make sure your gear is in order so that you can avoid problems and mistakes and things are going to happen while you're performing because of gear failure. Okay, guys, I hope that I helped you out today. I hope you don't get nervous at your next performance, and hopefully these tips can help you out a little bit. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, keep drumming. Like and subscribe. See ya.